tie this around the waist. By the way, did you guys ever see a photo? It says, "Ever we're seen wearing 3 golden chains. 2 of them represent the amount of times we've died, come back. The third one is quite a long story. Pull these out. Oh yeah. Check here and there. Going on. So you guys know I could box? Yeah, funny story about that. Average PSI it takes to shatter an undefended jaw, 35. My punching power, 700 to 900 on average. Anyway, we're gonna move that. That's not what the video is about. But what's interesting there's a Greek derivative word there, meek, M-E-A-K, and you reverse transpose that, it means those
who have weapons and know how to use them, but still keep them sheathed, will inherit the earth.
So, what's this video about? This video is about
a geometric shape that can be arrayed in a variety of different manners, or establishing a relationship between the problem of mapping a large terrain, very stringently defined representational systems. That's a geometric form. What is the geometric form conceptually?
Of the meaning is because, well, it's totally different when you hop on that journey together. And from the bottom up, structure the discovery of meaning together. And that structure, if you can abstract it into a simple form, well then you can build from there and also harness it in a way to where whatever was just an abstracted form of meaning then becomes like something to utilize. We could even say like prism, right? If this is all information we're going to share, abstract all the information or light into a form and then refract the light or refract the information and really see and then share back and forth. And so it ends up adding to the way we reapproach the world, how we see the terrain of the world, navigate and map it. And of that world, us, you, me, things in nature, the divine, all that. So what we're going to do, get to here and call this unlimited arrows, right? What's going on with the music? Hang on. So we're going to get to unlimited arrows, and because what we're going to do is equate meaning from top down and down up. We're going to equate meaning. We're going to start with just the symbol of equating things. And so when I talk about abstracting, what we're going to do is find a word that is a word and a symbol.
That's going to connect everything from here to there. What do I mean by meaning?
That would be their meaning in relation to us. They are meaningful. And then over their meaning, we can say that's the meaning structured with 3 words that even with all our capacity to measure much it eventually scales up to that which is all meaning. See where I'm going with this? Yeah. So, quick preface. I'm going to be very clear in discovering meaning and participating in this journey together. We're going to cover a lot of topics. I'm going to refrain from pushing you in one direction or the other of a particular meaning. Instead, incorporate that all. So when I say incorporate that all, like that which is the meaning, the creator of all meaning is that, and then you'll have meanings varied from that, and top down and down up. That's what we're going to cover. So let's start there, here to here. Now before, because I'm going to use the word God in this video, and the way to cover it is just before you actually talk about it, you just establish a baseline, what it means to yourself, what it means to the other person or group in reference, right? So this is going to relate to abstracting and reverse abstract. I'm going to say this to you. Smiling face. What did you think about just now? Smiling face. Did you picture yourself smiling? Did you picture me smiling? Did you picture a photograph of someone else smiling? Or perhaps a drawing of someone smiling? Or maybe even abstracting that further, dot, dot, and a curve. Or abstract that even further, and it's just the letters. Let me hear.
Smiling. Right, so the middle ground might be something.
Thing like this. And then in its reverse abstracted,
most reverse abstracted forms,
you might have a face, ears, and a jaw, and maybe a beard, right? And a nose, and eyes, maybe bangs, or maybe super long hair, right? That could be a photo or an image. Okay, so abstraction and reverse abstraction. You guys know I used to teach dance class? I still dance, but I used to teach. Now what's interesting about that is, what ends up happening is,
ain't too many can bang with us. Straight up, no angel touch. Label us notorious. That lot of us is strange to us.
What ends up happening is that which is already existing in your mind, you end up further digesting it when you feel and experience music, and then you start, experiencing the music in a way that comes throughout your body, right? And then as a group, you come into the class And then you end up having to communicate that. And so what's interesting there is, well, that which had manifested, it ends up becoming also a very specific type of, well, at least efficient communication so that it's understood, right? And then in that hour, you have, in terms of the choreography, nothing. And then groups of people that experience the transformation of nothing to something, experienced it, and then communicate it with their own bodies. And then something is created within a particular moment of time and space that is gone when you're done. So ephemeral and magical, right? Anyway, side story. So let's get into, so if we take two lines, we can also say, we'll merge the two lines, just change the angle. Now we have a plus sign. Okay, so in one dimension, what does this plus sign mean? But first, let's reference geography. We're going to incorporate multiple schools of thinking and logic in abstracting it so that we can reverse abstract it. So we're going to reference Earth first. Okay, so Earth is a sphere, and now you have 90 degrees, 90, and 90. Now if you add these up aggregately, what you get is the 900 degrees of Earth. So already we have this plus symbol, that is relevant to the planet we live on. And you just get that by North Pole, South Pole, and then the equator. That's how you get those angles. Okay? All right, so now we have a plus. Well, what else does the plus mean? Well, it means math. It could also be a medical symbol, and it could also be a cross, right? So these are already three really powerful things where this symbol comes into play. Now, well, I'll just tell you right now, this symbol also means four. Symbol also means four. Why? Because in Freemasonry, when you're decoding secret messages, the way to numerically represent something, to count the number of angles within a space. So there's four. This is also a reference to Freemasonry. What else? Native American history and heritage. It's also known as the medicine wheel, or the four cardinal directions or quadrants. Yeah, this cross, by the way, we'll say Judeo-Christianity for the most part, and Catholicism. Also means four rivers. Yeah, so cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. It's mapping. It's a symbol for mapping, isn't it? Oh yeah, okay. Well, here's what's interesting. This is on a two-dimensional plane. Right? Just two lines. So, let's go to 3D.
But really quickly, before we do that, there's going to be a middle ground. I'm going to estimate it'll be around here somewhere. And this is going to be a digression. That can either go downward or upward. You can call those distractions. All right, so
3D. How do we make it 3D? Take the center point, that creates an axis, you see? So then, when you pull the axis up, do this. When you pull the axis up, what do you get? Triangle on one plane, right? You can look at it from multiple sides even. But for the most part, we'll just reference it as a triangle for now. Yeah. So that, now we're getting into sacred geometry. So what's cool about a triangle? It has 3 points. 1, 2, 3, only on one face, right? So how is 3 important? All right, here we go, right? All those different meanings of existing information. We're gonna coagulate them. We'll start with the most obvious. We have a Trinity, right? Judeo-Christian Catholic Trinity. What else? Well, we have psychology, by way of 3 pillars of existence, which is the conscious, subconscious, and collective unconscious. Where else do we have 3? We have the triangle of virtue. That's the Quran. What else we got? We have Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu. Okay. We also have Agni, which is the 1, 2, 3 triple-faced God. All right. What else? We also have the thrice great Trismegistus, aka Hermes, and that's Greek mythology. Hermes, along with Agni, okay, they are literalized as the ones that carry the light of thinking, psychology, math, and music. And Hermes also has a more modernized name, which is, we'll put that up here, Mercury. The cool thing about that is Mercury was also known as a type of Agni, Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, in the sense that they were a deity, being a son of God, who was able to go back and forth between the two worlds, the living world and the unliving world, as a messenger of the God. So what's interesting about that? Well, if I reference the Trinity here, one of the parts of the Trinity is the Holy Spirit, right? Which goes back and forth between the earth world and the divine world to carry messages, right? And through the Holy Spirit, we get divine knowledge, we get healing and stuff like that, right? We get the Christ manifestation process, we get to hear and speak. Because if there was no Holy Spirit and the God creator showed up in front of you, you'd probably disintegrate, right? Yeah. And so do you know what Mercury's magic number is? 4. Pew. See how things are connecting? All right, so let's keep it moving. Now we have this symbol, which is now on one plane, triangle, Right. Now, because it's 3D and we pulled the axis up, well, we can also pull it down, right? Down. So what do you get? Well, it's just the same thing. It's just pointing down. Here's a reference to biology, which is seeing equals upside down. You know, you're born seeing things upside down. Yeah, the way information is refracted through the lens and the cornea, you end up having to adjust. You're born seeing things upside down. What's this also a reference to? Gnosis. You remember in college or maybe in high school, junior high, you hear people say, I'm atheist, agnostic. Well, the Gnostic part comes from here. And gnosis is just another word for knowledge. So people that would say that they're agnostic is kind of deterred from knowledge. It's kind of funny now I think about it. And same thing with atheists. They are deterred from aligning themselves with theology. So that comes from. All right, so gnosis, how does this relate to gnosis though? Well, gnosis, this is one of the principles. As above, so below. As above, so below. And where'd they get that from? The teachings of the Hermetic principles. And a quick reference to 4 here. We're gonna say what is above is also below, or what is future, it's also in the past. What's also in the past? You have a reference to these 4 moons. And do you know who it is that's depicted having wings and having 4 moons in their wings? 4 moons in their wings. So 4 is also a reference to, we're gonna put this up here, Quetzalcoatl. That comes from ancient Mayan theology, the winged serpent. So let's reference, where was that? Judeo-Christianity again. Did you know that Seraphim, and that's Hebrew. Im just means plural. Seraphims means winged serpent. Yeah. See how this is all connected? Okay, let's do a quick recap. So far, here we have earth, right, math, theology, science, sacred math, dimension, and the relation of 4 to 3 in terms of dimensions. All right, here's where it gets really powerful, where people can get distracted. So we're gonna remove this real quick. Man, abstract, so awesome. Okay, we're gonna go right back into 3D.
That's where we left off. So you have triangle.
Right, when it's 3D, what do you get? You get a pyramid. Ancient Egypt, so powerful, right? So many mysteries. Cool, we're still good. So they had, how many pyramids total? 3, right? So you had just the earth, and then you had information that starts to manifest itself in a usable way that is becoming existing informations and archetypes for information leading to the future. And so when you go that far back, the structures were there. Those are pretty much the oldest structures we can reference. And then you have Quetzalcoatl, right? Winged serpent with 4 moons, also in Hebrew known as Seraphim. And then the pyramids have 3 of them, the thrice great geographical structures, which is a throwback to Trismegistus or Hermes. Yeah. And then do you know who was known for bringing those 3 pillars of knowledge during the time of the Egyptians? That was Thoth. Oh yeah. All right. So now we have this 3D structure coming from 2D, coming from just information, coming from just existence. Let's go. Let's go. Go. Now what do we got? We'll take this shape, this 3D shape, and we're just gonna combine them, layer them on top of each other. What's that? All right. Well, that's the Star of David. First of all, Star of David. What's interesting about the Star of David? If you break up the Star of David, it contains every letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So the star is both representation and communication.
The money, I'm ready to risk it. All if I lift it, bet I won't miss it. You a statistic, thought shit was sweet till we popped up and popped off the top of your mystic.
One got above, we was gifted a visit. Christ in attendance, astral projected, soul is autistic. Sharpen my sword, got me a bow, and you find out what sin is. Greek derivative, transliteration. Then I take aim, I will miss that translation. Etymology, attic, kakatien, ute de debi de Dante. Mandarin, Hebrew, and Latin. Triple linguistic, +1 in English. Magical 4, you can say that's hermetic. Do represented, yeah, she descended. 2 or more gathered, that's how you Christ it.
Representation and communication of all this. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, throw back to the Talmud and the Torah and the Pentateuch. Right around 1250 BC, Bible. All right, so now what happens when this Star of David becomes multiple dimensions? Well, you get a lot of them, right? Yeah. Well, that is known as the bringer, the carrier of divine power. It's also known as the, we'll say, Me'er Ha-Ba Star, light spirit, body. Hebrew, Ba. If you double up Ba, by the way, Baba, In Mandarin, that's father. Whoa. So why is the Merkaba star important? Because it sounds like the word Mercury? Well, yeah. But also, it's also known as source of power, well, for two, but primarily of the archangels. Check the recording again. So of the many things that the Merkaba star can do, it has, can you guess how many primary abilities? It has 3, which is teleportation, healing, and messaging. So as an archangel, that's why that's why a lot of people have discovered a type of experience that was literalized as angels. They just appeared out of nowhere. So you could say that harnessing the power of the Merkaba star, the light spirit body star, they would just appear. And then healing, right? They could heal whatever. You can also think about that as being delivered from something, right? Or coming back from the dead. And then messaging, that's when you get like a random burst of energy, or you're all of a sudden in a good mood, right? Or, oh, you know, that sounds familiar. Or, I did know that. Yeah, that's the Merkaba star. Now on the human level, what does the teleportation look like? Well, it looks like dreaming. What does the healing look like? This could be things like, you know, a scab or, you know, mended bones, right? And the messaging, well, that's what gives you the ability to speak at a higher frequency. Speaking. That's the power of the star. So you have this on a human level, on an archangel level, right? That's utilizable, that also psychology references as a conscious, subconscious, collective unconscious, right? Or you can say, right, because the conscious is your body and all that you experience in the body. And the subconscious is activated memory. And the collective unconscious, well, that's everything else that exists regardless of if you think about it. You could say that's glory of God. Scientists try to call it physics or relativity. So we're talking about the distraction, where it is. Some people, well, they aim towards the highest good, which is love, God, right? Make some room here. And then you have some, well, that's the opposite. Whatever word and whatever word. But here's what's interesting. We can go up or down because of our free will to do so. Isn't that interesting? All right, so these all end up becoming embodied, like Hermes, Trismegistus, Quetzalcoatl, right? These all end up becoming a type of person or person. You see? Okay, so the unification of our free will and body plus the divine manifest into, we use a more common term, Christ or Christ. Now this is not a last name. It's a word that's also a title and a transitive verb. So these are like Jesus, Buddha, stuff like that. Now in Gnosis, how do you say Christ? That Christ process. That is adding and unifying the two existences of polarity. In other words, taking this to this, triangle, you unify it, put it together. It's called alchemize, or alchemy is also known as the Christ process. What's another word for alchemy? Something that is both fused. We could say male and female, throwback to Genesis. Another word for it is mercury, the liquid metal. Both, you see? How do you say mercury in Hebrew? Kaukab, which also means star. Genesis 1:14. Here we go. Genesis 1:14. God makes the sun to rule the day, the moon to rule the night, and the stars also. That's where we get wish upon a star. Woo! Well, fire. Okay. So coagulate all this into abstracted form. This is all reverse abstracted. We're gonna abstract it and get to unlimited arrows, okay?
Then you bring it up, slow, run it up. One time, run it back once more. Run, everybody move, run, let me see you move.
Tie this around the waist. By the way, did you guys ever see that photo? It says, if ever we're seen wearing 3 golden chains, 2 of them represent the amount of times we've died, come back. The third one is quite a long story. Pull these out. Oh yeah. Sign here at the arc, the eye. All right. Well, that actually might hit the mic. All right, so. But I'll give you a little shortcut. I mentioned this earlier, there, they are, and over there. Just 3 points. You can say that's the time, space, continuum. You can also draw a nice little shape here. All right, so embodied, right? Everything we talked about becomes embodied. But where we started off was things being formless, right? Just equating existence without existence and putting those together. Start of information, which was earth plus sign, triangle, infinity, and how that relates so many things. And then how that became pyramid, right? And then how that then became representation and communication, which was also the Merkaba star. Yeah, what happens? Well, that all gets embodied, right? And then, well, that's us. That's us. That's us. But it was already existing, right? So you can say that it was already there in a divine form. Cool. So what's that? Where we are here. We're getting closer to duality, or in other words, The unifying of those two, right? Trying to achieve balance. You can even call that the Christ process, Mercury, or alchemy, or you can say that's Christ plus the bride of Christ. Why isn't that always the case? Why wasn't it always the case, right? Well, because we are divided, human form and divine form. And so what we did here is outlining how to go from division and then embody that.
From division, and then embody that. From division, and then embody. From division, and then embody that.
Our human form with the divine form. So how's it unlimited arrows? Real quick. So here, it's also representation and communication, right? Representation and communication. When you utilize it, well, it becomes, you could say, how would you say, almost like a technology, something you can use. We talked about this earlier. It becomes then a prism, right? Prism in which you can see light as information. And so that, which was just the cross, well, that becomes the aim. Now we're able to aim. The targeting system, and the arrows, I will use red for this, so the arrows equals the three things that we do to aim, which is think, exist, and integrate. And we don't need to go into all those, what those three things mean, but these are your arrows. Pew, pew, pew. Okay, so, this word, sin. Did you know that it's a Greek derivative? And it means to aim and miss. That's where the word comes from. So, now that we've abstracted the past into the moment, into an enhanced ability to aim.
Enhanced ability to aim. Enhanced ability to aim. Enhanced ability to aim. Enhanced ability to aim. Enhanced ability to aim.
Well, we can aim as much as we want and pursue as much as we want because of free will. So aim, arrows. How many do we have? Unlimited. And the point is to aim at the ideal, love, or the highest. You can say God, however your definition. And now you know how to talk about each one because of all these things. You see, even love, you can say, well, that's where we get Cupid. What? Okay, so that's where we are now. Aim, and you're gonna miss a lot, but aim at that because it incorporates all of this. Okay, so past, present, future. 3 point 1, 2, 3. You see? So you can say this is, we'll say this is you or us, you or me, right? And that's of that. Say the conscious, subconscious, collective unconscious, right? All right, here we go. So, whoa. Still with me? You still with me? So we're gonna move this one, you and me. So this is conscious, subconscious, collective unconscious. That's you or me, right? Then there's everything else. The they are, right? This existing and everything else. So this is their or ours, right? Because if someone saw you, they'd say that's theirs. And this is they are, yeah? And this is there, over there, everything else, right? You can even say lowercase g, O-D. Now, when you unify this whole thing, you get right here in the center and it all comes together. As they, there, the time, space continue. When everything meets, that's moment, life. As they, there, the time, space continue. When everything meets, that's moment, life, life, life. So life is right now, and the future includes, well, the duality. And it's an ever-evolving process, right? Because then within this one, you could even have a bigger one that has it all. Just like this. And that one, that's what I would say, is capital G-O-D. So there you go. Past, present, future, the symbol that connects everything, all the religion, and you can go further into it. Schools of thinking, the sciences of thinking, the conscious and psychology, existing and interacting with the world. That's a symbol. So to summarize, let's summarize. Right? From here, we were just equating things. It was formless, right? And then you separated information from non-information, or dark from light, And now we had information where we can start naming things, right? Because we're starting to perceive information, starting to name things, and then it becomes embodied into a person, right? You can say being, or as a man or woman, in both the divine aspect and biological aspect, right? So we come into being, and then there's the unifying of those, the Christ process, become one flesh. In the way, in the divine way, one with God, but it starts with ourselves, and then at least one other person, and it goes on and on and on. And so, what is all this that you're seeing? Because in the beginning, right, I was just speaking, but what you're actually seeing are letters that represent something. Words. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with. What's another word for with? Divided. Was with God. See, you were split. We were with God, right? And the Word, what? Was God, is God. It was the whole time. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Let's go. And so I want to thank you guys if you got this far in the video, watch the part of it. So amazed that you're seeing it, that this video that, well, I wanted to make got made and you found it. It's a formula that always was. Last Easter egg, this formula, right? If you go to John 5:20, it's a formula of how God loved the Son so that they could come together and we could be with God again. Love you guys. Have a good day.